And with the big reveal in this chapter, ladies and gentlemen, we have the reveal of who exactly Rakid's mother is, and would you believe it yourself, it's the tactician herself out of Fairy Tail, and my god, is he definitely showing his stripes in this chapter, because he is wrecking Kagura to the point of just letting her ascend to the heavens and backwards. Definitely, if anything, this chapter of Fairy Tail is nothing but a showcase of the White Dragon Eel himself, pulling out some stuff on some level of eyes and stuff, where he's blocking swords with his fingers, just stopping it all. And definitely, wow, am I excited to see a lot more of him, and especially who is going to fight him, and the only person that has a possible chance of even defeating Rakid in the next couple of chapters of Fairy Tail. So I like how we start off this chapter. Immediately we get to see all of Rashion alongside with Jalal. The entirety of Crime Sorcière has been defeated by August. They're all on the floor, just completely knocked out. And August putting his boots to Jalal's head, going, you really think that you got a chance against me? Like that, you was a devout, like, believer in his majesty, and now look at you and all that. It's foolish to, like, go against him. And he's like, I was able to finally attain the light, though. I was able to, you know, to illuminate that darkness that was inside of me. And he was, like, thinking, no, that was Urza. Urza was the one that, like, stopped me from going back from that path. And he was just like, are you really that serious? And then, you know, light is your justice. You know, you think darkness hasn't got anything into it? Or, like, the same thing can be said with light. You're saying there's no evil in light. Like, what the hell are you, like, talking about, Jalal? And he's like, His Majesty reared a single son, and his child was born with the power of light at his disposal. I'm like, even Jalal's like, what the hell? This guy had a kid out of everything? And he's like, that child knew what it was to be loved. Before, like, you know, the space between light and darkness just evaporated, and the state of mind devoid of anything. It's like, there's no good in, or evil in light or darkness. It doesn't exist. It makes up to, like, what the interpreter, like, makes of it. If there's true justice in this world, it may well lie in love and naught else. And he's just like, I need to get up. I need to stand up, and all that. Come on. And in order, like, to protect Urza and everyone else, I have to get up and beat this guy. And it's like, if anything, that'd be interesting, where it's like, you know, Jalal is trying to beat this guy, but the fact that if all the Crime Sorcière are having this much of the trouble going against them, then, like, honestly, you are going to need someone like Gildas with his insane strength. It'll be interesting if this is going to add into the fact that August is going to need, like, both Jalal and, like, someone on Gildas's level to even take him out on that level, because you see how strong he is. And then cutting back, what we get to see with Zerath's son, especially Kagura is looking from atop the mountain saying, like, so you're Zerath's son, huh? And it's like, yeah, I am, like, you know, my name is Rakid, and I am the son of Zerath. And even though everyone's like, Dragon Eel, though, like, you know, that's the last name is Natsu. And he's like, you didn't realize and all that? Like, you know, he's my, like, father's younger brother, and that would make him my uncle. And the fact that it's like, I will look forward to meeting him for so long on this today, because it's like, my father holds him much more dear than I ever did, like that. And that is something that cannot be forgiven, wouldn't you agree? As shooting, like, blaze of light throughout the opponent. So that was already confirming a lot about, like, Rakid, especially with his personality, and something that we can understand with what August was saying, and alongside what he was saying. Clearly he has a giant spite and jealousy for, like, you know, immediately for, like, Natsu, because of the fact that it's like, Zerath cares more for his brother than he does ever for his son, and this is clearly acting into his own style, where it's like, he was never raised properly. Clearly Zerath never raised this kid, like, he didn't really care. Zerath is, like, psychopath and, like, mind broken, so, like, this child has never, throughout the entirety of his life, has never known what it's like to actually have a hot, real father, or a real parent, or anything in that manner. And that's where this kind of weird, like, justice, like, he so speaks of, and this love that he speaks of, and, like, Eric, this purity in heavens, that's why, like, he thinks in this way, and it's like, this clearly he wants to kill Natsu out of everyone. It was like, no, he's got to suffer, like, why is it you the one that had to suffer? So it's kind of, he has kind of, like, a childlike, like, attitude when it comes to that, but even with, like, you see, like, August, it's like, August, he's something a little bit special, that kid. It's just like, and besides, like, we already know that the true justice in this world may lie in love and naught else, and I think that's the case where at the ending of the chapter, it was definitely leading that maybe this is something that could actually resolve him, because clearly of who the mother is, as it panned right at the end of the chapter, that is Mavis is the mother of this child. But as we'll talk about in a little bit more explanation about what exactly does that mean, and how exactly did she have the child in the first place, we clearly see the Kagura fight, and Kagura, she was just like, I've had enough of this stuff. get off your perch. She cuts the mountain clean off it. Like, she cuts it with a single swipe and just goes, come down and face me, you coward. Like, I've had enough of this. And even with, like, the whole fact of the pleasure, and it's just like, I'm going to introduce you to that sweet nectar as known as pleasure. And it's like, humans can't, like, disobey this natural instinct. And the way that Kagura is able to deal with this is by actually biting her own tongue, like causing insane pain, and so she can't focus on the pleasure, she can actually focus on the pain. So there you go, the pain and the pleasure, there is no reason why. You gotta understand that's exactly what she did to liberate herself from like the pain and the pleasure, is by actually biting her own tongue. And the fact that she even goes back to like using her old technique that she did in the Grand Magic games to like beat up Yukino, she was actually getting right into like the middle stances, like you're wide open. As the fact that like for it seems like we kind of got a confirmation, maybe this might be a little bit of the like a whole thing in like his Rakid's like magic or his character, but the fact that he normally has to keep his hands open for the most part maybe might have something to do with his magic, but that completely got wiped away when we saw that the fact that he had two fingers and kind of like a praying sign and just immediately block Kagura's sword, either with it like out of the hilt and like the blade itself. It's just like, you stopped it with my bare hands, like what the hell is that? And it's like, you miscalculated terribly, Kagura, that like this is like he is as easy as the other like Spriggans. It's like, even with confirming, and I'm glad this is the confirmation itself, August, Aline, and himself are like special exceptions to the rule on the Spriggans, where they are insanely powerful. So I kind of like at least that these three especially are the ones, these are the problem children. Clearly we've seen how with August at the start of the chapter, we've seen how insane that she can actually like deal toe to toe with Acnologia. So it's clearly showing that this guy as well is serious shit. The fact that he can do some Eisen level shit where he can just block a sword like that and then either immediately just taking out Kagura, which, you know, a lot of people like dismay Kagura for not being that strong in the character. But I mean, at the end of the day, she is one of the strongest females in the series next to Urza and alongside with Minerva. They're definitely like the trio of the strongest characters. And it's still a slight feat to actually go against someone like her. And it was like, generally when she was just like, you really like regard my magic as vulgar as I like cut your guts open. And he's like, fear not, like that pain and suffering you're having right now, I'm going to turn it into pleasure. And just the end of it is just like, this is also something known as love. I shall give you a peaceful death. And then just with the praying, he just goes, let her pure white soul ascend to the free heavens, just praying and enjoying it. But you can clearly see that Rakid enjoys this pleasure. He enjoys like people dying and like a so-called pleasure ending. He's just like, now rise to the heavens and your death, as he's just like looking there like sinister. And like even with the confirmation right at the end of the chapter, which we can now talk about, is like his Majesty's child, if he was ever to be defeated, it could only be defeated by the hands of his own mother. And clearly right at the end of the chapter, they show Mavis Vermilion right there, and that shows right there, if anything, that's not a confirmation of who exactly the father is and who is the mother. We already know that is Xerath, and the fact is, we didn't know for a while whether or not it was going to be, if it was Mavis, although I think a lot of us kind of guessed already that it was going to be Mavis Vermilion, but then there were a few doubts saying that it was Anna Heartfilia, that he fell in love with someone else during that timeline before he met Mavis, but no, clear confirmation exactly who the mother is, and this is how exactly he came to be. We've clearly seen Xerath was able to like produce someone like Natsu from like his old like baby brother dead corpse, and I think honestly it wouldn't be surprised if he was actually able to take some DNA from Mavis Vermilion and they make it into his own son and kind of molding it into the way he pleases. We know that like he can actually create stuff like demons, humanoid demons alongside. It wouldn't make like any kind of like guess and all that he could actually make a bun. I don't think any of us would be surprised if like he could actually make a son out of this, and the fact that he's got his father's magical power alongside Mavis as well. Like thinking of the strategy that you have of Mavis alongside with Xerath's insane amount of power, that's a very terrifying combo indeed if he was able to inherit both sides of his family, and it explains why he never had a chance to really be close to his father or anything, because of the fact that it's Xerath Dragneel. Xerath only cares, if anything, in the order of things that he probably cares about is the first one is Natsu, second one is definitely Mavis, third one is Acnologia, fourth after that maybe destruction and like annihilation of the world, 5 is maybe adding a little bit of genocide on the side, and you go down, and I'm pretty sure Rakid is pretty much all the way down at the, not even like out of, probably in like the Spriggan order. He probably doesn't care, he mainly cares about this other Spriggans, and then maybe his son right at the very bottom. It shows why like this kid just never really had a good childhood at all, but like it's very interesting to see that this is a character that this is how he was able to like depict his own life, and was like, no, this is how I made up my future, this future, and this is what I went for some like weird holiness. If like my father is like the pure darkness and satanic, then I'm the holy light that like will bring retribution and pleasure to everyone. I think what we learned in this chapter is that definitely if he can just take on someone like Kagura that easy, then he's definitely something not to be threat. And adding throughout the entire like of the chapter, and what we saw is that definitely stating that he is a strong, or at least he is definitely one of the problem children, that he's insanely strong alongside with Irene and alongside with August. Those are the people out of the three, like out of those Spriggans on that are strongest. I'm glad that the last couple of Spriggans are definitely proving themselves to be there. It's a shame, and I will always mention this, that like God Sereno was built up for the longest, and I kind of wish that it was like out of like all of the 12 Spriggans, that like those four were the ones that were insanely strong and that could take them out. Or even the fact that I generally would have loved if like 6 of them were just amazing and mighty opponents. And the shame is that we last couple of Spriggans are really pulling their weight and showing goddamn who is strong and who is going to destroy them. And generally, yeah, I don't think a lot of us would have thought Kagura would have done too much to him. And I think if any of us saw like Kagura winning this battle against someone with the Dragneel name in it, I think a lot of people would have been upset. It's like, well, why would you build up this character like you did with God Serena? And it's like, he's clearly meant the higher things, and you just like took him out like that. Definitely, I love this chapter from start to finish. Definitely showcasing his power. Really did like the little August thing, and like even August as well, clearly stating as well that like this is the only person that can actually be able to have a chance. I think the whole fact of meeting your mother is the thing that would maybe catch him off guard, and generally it's setting up a Mavis and a Rakid confrontation. And I've said this before in a like discussion before, which I'll link down below as well. How can you top a character like this? How can Mavis, who is meant for like illusions and anything like that, can generally like trick him, and it generally looks like it's gonna have to like end up tricking or just giving him that love that he's always desired, and maybe this might be like the weakness that he's looking for. Because generally, like, I don't think Mavis can really have that many offensive spells. We know she can do stuff like Fairy Lore. We know she can do like a bunch of techniques. If anything, it's like she has a like ability that maybe could seal him. Fairy Lore may be able to take him out and all that. But generally, Mavis isn't the sort of person that really wants to kill someone or like really wants to hurt. And it'll be interesting to see that Mavis is the one character that really hasn't fought in the series. She's always used trickery. If anyone's ever seen Fairy Tail Zero, she's definitely used like her own smarts to like outwit her opponents like near every single time she's ever had to confront anyone. So I'm looking forward to what exactly she's got in mind for this fight coming up, and definitely really enjoyed this chapter. Gonna give this one a solid 8 or 9. Really like enjoyed every moment of it. Yeah, Kagura, you're definitely a strong ass chick, but you needed to kind of be like wasted out on the floor just to show how strong, like, you know, Rakid is. I think a lot of people were thinking like, nah, you gotta take out Rakid, and just definitely how I gotta give it props to her. She definitely was proving herself to, like, to everyone. She was really wanting to show like case that she was like no like serious like shit, and it was like, no, I'm gonna bite my own tongue if that's journeying into that place, and that takes a lot of like conviction to even do that. And the fact that she even putting out like, you know, like all the stuff and all that with her blade, trying to like take down a mountain, I think it was showcasing a huge part of their strength. And I'm very much looking forward to like the rest of like the chapters. Like definitely looking forward to the next chapter being known as Natsu's Heart. So that's going to be interesting. Seems like we're going to be focusing back on Natsu, especially, or maybe a bit of Rakid. So I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely have been improving that. Like we've been kind of like going kind of back to back with these fights. We've been seeing parts of Irene, we're seeing parts of August, and also as well now it's showcasing Rakid. So definitely in the final like 3 Spriggans and all that, the most powerful of them all and all that. Definitely loving what they're doing, and loving the fact that we're going to be getting into 5-10 next week, and I'm very excited for that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That is all from me. You love Fairy Tail as much as I do. You know, hit that like, you know, hit that subscribe, you know, to hit all that good shit. That is all from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you guys though next time.